Good morning, fourth grade. I have a reading test today. I always like to start with the essay so I know what I'm looking for when I'm going to read my stories. Explain how stars affect life on Earth. Include effects from the past as well as all those still affecting us today. Support your answers with clear text evidence from the articles. So you can pull it from either article. You got to come up with three things, how they affect life on Earth. Cause and effect, okay? For thousands of years, people have been guided by the stars. Farmers use the stars to decide when to plant or harvest crops. Sailors and other travelers use stars to guide their journey. Stars guide people long before maps or computers. I think I got one already. Guide, plant, guided by the stars. Awesome. Long ago, people noticed that stars form patterns in the sky. They told stories about these groups of stars called constellations. These stories use people, animals, or objects to describe the stars. Each story reflected the storyteller's culture. Most stories come from ancient Greeks. The name of the constellation comes from Latin words. Today, astronomers recognize 88 constellations. These scientists study stars and use history to describe each constellation. This right here is the constellation, the Big Dipper. Many people can find the Big Dipper, and it looks like a cup with a long handle. This group of stars is actually part of a larger constellation called Ursa Major. The Greek myth about Ursa Major describes the constellation as a large bear. In the story, Zeus, the king of the gods, changes a woman named Callisto into a bear. Then he places the bear in the sky. Native American stories about this constellation also use a bear. Other cultures use a wagon and a plow and a chariot or a reindeer. Escaped slave workers looked for this constellation because the two stars at the front of the cup always point north. This led to freedom on the Underground Railroad. Oh, I just found another one. Escape from slavery. Another effect of the constellations. The Little Dipper looks like a smaller version of the Big Dipper. This part of a larger constellation called Ursa Minor. The story of two dippers are related. The Greek myth, the bear, Callisto, wanders into the woods. Callisto's son is hunting when he sees the bear. He does not recognize the bear as his mother. The son is about to kill her when Zeus stops him by turning him into a bear as well. Zeus flings both bears by their tails into the night sky. The unusual detail explains why the bears have long tails. Bright stars make Orion another easy constellation to find. This constellation can be identified by its three bright stars in Orion's belt. The Greek myth about Orion tells of a great hunter with a big ego. Orion thinks that he is the best hunter in the world. He brags that he can kill any animal. The goddess of Earth is worried that Orion might harm animals. She sends a scorpion to sting and kill him. Because of this fight, the constellation Scorpius is on the other side of the sky from Orion. This distance keeps Orion and the scorpion from fighting. Many cultures have tales of Orion. In China, Orion is part of a larger constellation called the White Tiger. Learning about constellations and their stories is interesting. On the next starry night, grab a star chart and go outside. There are many stories waiting to be told. You'll need your answer key here. This will be where you record all of your answers. Number 1 says, the author explains how farmers use the stars to show that stars are pretty good. Look at farmers. Can be used like a map. Farmers can be seen in certain times of the year. Are subjects of many different stories. Farmers need to know when to plant because of the time, right? The time. Number 2, read this sentence from the article. Long ago, people noticed that stars form patterns in the sky. They told stories about these groups of stars called constellations. What does the word constellation mean in the sentence above? Is it an individual stars, regions of stars, repeating star clusters, or groups of stars that form a pattern? If you're unsure, you should read in here about it. They talk about that in your story. Find text evidence to see if you can't find what it is a constellation is. Okay, read this section from the article. These stories use people, animals, or objects to describe the stars. Each story reflects the storyteller's culture. What does the word culture mean in the sentence above? Songs and tales, inventions and creations, traditions and ways of life, pets and household animals. Now don't get confused about this one. It is not pets and household animals. Number 4. The author explains that there are different stories about the constellation to show that all people like stories. Many Greek stories are told about the stars. People disagree about which story is best. The constellations are seen by people all over the world. Number 5. Read this sentence from the article. Today, astronomers recognize 88 constellations. These scientists study stars and use history to describe each constellation. What does astronomer mean? Now, this is one of our vocabulary words, so hopefully you have it. Historians, scientists, storytellers, or students. Number 6. According to the article, what was caused by Zeus flinging the bears into the sky? In other words, why did Zeus do this? The sun did not recognize his mother as a bear and was about to kill her? The North Star landed in the sky inside of the cup? The bears in the constellation have long tails? Zeus turned Callisto and her son into bears. And I read it wrong. Not what caused it. It was what was caused by him flinging it. So it was definitely not the first one. That was what I was thinking it was. You're going to want to see what happened because Zeus grabbed on their tails and flung them into the night sky. Number 7. Escaped enslaved workers most likely looked for the North Star because it was the brightest star in the sky, because constellations form patterns in the sky, because they knew what the big bear looked like, because it showed them the way to travel at night. Number 8. Read these sentences from the article. The Greek myth about Ursa Major describes the constellation as a large bear. In this story, Zeus, the king of the gods, changes a woman called Callisto into a bear. Which word in the sentence above means about the same as the word myth? Is it bear, king, story, or woman? Think what a myth is. Number 9. What evidence does the author use to make a point about how the Big Dipper looks? Stories told about the constellation? Stories written about the constellation? Facts about how far away the constellation is? Facts about how stars have always guided people? Number 10. Read these sentences from the article. The Greek myth about Orion tells of a great hunter with a big ego. Orion thinks that he is the best hunter in the world. What does the word ego mean in this sentence? He has a high opinion of himself, a kindness towards animals, a story with a happy ending, a great knowledge of hunting. All right, guys, first 10 knocked out. Stay tuned for the second video and the second 10, and then we'll finish up with our essay.